there? Welcome to That's Sports Talk Revival. Brian's out with a little cold today, so I'm just taking this solo. With us is Braden Burke from Michigan State, and now is a current Central Michigan Chippewa, which I'm happy to hear about. So, Braden, welcome to the show, man. Great to see you.
Yeah, appreciate it. I'm happy to be here.
All right. So, Braden, let's start this off. Tell us where'd you go to high school, and did you play any other sports in high school besides basketball?
Yeah, I'm from a small town called Stevensville, Michigan. It's probably like 30 minutes southwest of Kalamazoo. In high school, I played football for 2 years. Well, one and a half. I got hurt halfway through the second year, and then I never played again. So I just focused on basketball, and then yeah, I played all 4 years at Lakeshore High School.
Okay, so now in high school, you led your team to the Class B state championship, a game at the Breslin Center. Your team was 20-8 overall, but ultimately fell in that game. Were you nervous in the being in that atmosphere as a high school student? And tell us what your first experience was like playing at the Breslin.
Uh, Honestly, I thought I was going to be a lot more nervous than I was, but when the game got going, it just honestly, as cliche as it sounds, you really don't notice anyone there, and it was really just like playing basketball. So I was kind of used to playing in front of a good crowd of people just from AAU terms and stuff. We normally drew more people than most high school games, so I was used to it, and yeah, it was definitely the funnest, like that 2 week, 3 week span of the high school playoffs. That was the funnest basketball in high school I played though.
Yeah, I can definitely imagine that. So you were a McDonald's All-American nominee your senior year. Did you get any more attention from universities from your nomination for that award?
No, because at the time I was already committed, and I kind of shut off my recruiting. I I kind of, I mean, I don't want to say I regret it, but I probably did. I kind of rushed the recruiting process when I was in high school, and I wanted, not that because I did want to commit before my senior season, but I just, I don't know, I definitely rushed it. And so, but yeah, I committed in September of my senior year, and I got that nomination and the award type thing. That was like January of my senior year, so I was like already a signee. I had already signed and everything. So
Right. So like you say, you already signed and you attended Robert Morris University. Tell us, how did Robert Morris reach out to you? Or did you get a scholarship from Robert Morris? Like, was there any other offers from other big schools in the country, or what made you choose Robert Morris?
so I played with the family for 2 years. AAU, that's the local EYBL team from Detroit, not local, but Michigan wise. I drove 3 hours from practices. That's how far away Stevensville is. But I played with them, and I really wasn't. I started to get looks. I got my first offer my sophomore year playing with them, and then playing in high school as a sophomore. No, it was my junior year. It was early in my junior year. Oakland offered me, and that was through the connection through them. And then I switched teams the last AAU tournament of I ever played. I wasn't liking what I was doing, and I had another guy that used to coach me. He had a team called ACB, and I went and played with them for a tournament. And that weekend I got like 8 or 10 offers in that one the first day, and Robert Morris was one of them. Yeah, I was driving. We were driving back to the hotel, and my phone was. That was the craziest recruiting time was that tournament, just because I kind of went from a team to where I was kind of like a utility guy because I was playing around people like on the family I played with. Our starting lineup was me, Cassius Winston, Miles Bridges, a bunch of people. So like I wasn't the main guy, and for my last tournament, I kind of wanted to go, be the guy for a weekend, and it did, and that's when I got most of my offers there. I got like 15, 20 offers just that one
Wow.
weekend in Kentucky.
Wow, that's very impressive. Not only from the offer standpoint, but just who the talent that you were playing with as well. But we'll get to you rejoining those guys in a minute at Michigan State. So tell us what's your favorite memory of Robert Morris on or off the court?
My favorite Memory. I don't know. I just kind of the time. I'd say a certain time when I was there. It was when we first got there. I graduated high school June 5th, and I was on campus there June 7th. So
Wow.
I got there right away, and just that time, it was the guys that kind of had been there, like the returning players we had, kind of were just getting back, but they had the freshmen come in. Only the freshmen in my class, we had 6 or 7 of us, so it was just us for 10 days. And that time was probably the best time because I was pretty close with a good amount of my teammates there. I still keep in contact with them, but just kind of going from like it kind of felt like that time like it hit us like so quick because I'm one day I'm graduating high school, I still feel like an 18-year-old kid, and then I just remember getting there and it was like joining the military almost. It was just such a shock the way we were training and stuff, and they were because they kind of brought us back early, just the freshmen, just to kind of get, I think, almost like not scare us, but get us like so we're taking it seriously.
Yeah.
And that's just I created a bond through there, and then because it was such a grind, and all we had was each other. We didn't know most of us. We had no one was local from there. Everyone was at least like 6 hours from my class, so it was like a culture shock. So just getting close with those guys at that period, and then obviously just the practices were different than anything I've ever went through. And basketball, they're uniquely intense, and I'll just never forget that stuff.
Yeah, because Robert Morris is in a very interesting conference, playing against in the Big East, and those type of teams. So yeah, it's definitely a culture shock. Definitely going from high school one day and then boom, you're in college the next day. So after your freshman year at Robert Morris, you transferred to Michigan State, which was my co-host's current school. He attends there. What was so appealing about Michigan State for you to ultimately transfer there? As you're getting good minutes at Robert Morris, was it more academics at Michigan State? Better opportunity for that, a scholarship for Michigan State. What did Michigan State reach out to you? How did that work?
Yeah, so once I left, once I entered my name in the portal at Robert Morris, obviously I was talking with the people that were close with me basketball wise, being my AAU coach, my high school coach, and a couple other just guys around the basketball world that I'd grown like just made contacts with. And I was talking with everyone, and one guy was like, well, Coach Fife from Michigan State called me today. He saw your name in the portal, blah 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 blah. Would you be interested? He's like, I don't know if they're gonna have a scholarship, if they're gonna do this or that, but he said they're interested. And I was like, of course, because my main thing I wanted to get back closer to home. I didn't like being that far away, and it was just as a basketball player, it just wasn't a good fit as I thought it was going to be. And Michigan State offered me what they brought. What it was appealing to me was the culture there. One was you could just when I was home, obviously I'd finished my classes at Robert Morris. I went home and I was still in the portal, so I didn't have a school. So one of the first days back, I took an official to Michigan State. I went up there, I worked out, and I got to I hung out with Matt McQuaid, Kyle Arns, and Connor George, and we just hung out for like 3 hours, and then I went back home, and I knew that night I was going to be there, even though I just talked to Coach Izzo, and they'd explain how they didn't have a scholarship left on the chart. There was nothing, but it would be a thing where I could work, blah, 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 maybe blah, 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 this. And it didn't matter to me because like you said, the academics was a big thing for me, and just the connections I built. I knew I'd meet people and have resources there that almost no school in the nation could offer better than that. So, and then just the basketball experience, when I was there, we won 3 Big Ten championships. We were the #1 team in the country 2 different years out of the 3,
Yeah.
and then the other one we were 5. So it was just like it was like it was the opportunity to experience it at the highest level was just really appealing to me because that's what I had done in high school. When I was playing AAU, we had the best talent in the nation, so it was appealing. And I had already known I was close. I played AAU with 4 of the players on the team, And then I met 3 new players on my visit that I instantly knew. I was like, well, yeah. It was the family atmosphere, then the experience and the education.
Yeah, like you said, you mentioned you put on your AAU team. You played with Miles Bridges and Cassius Winston and all those guys. So due to NCAA rules, you had to sit out your sophomore season and you had a red shirt. But the team, you like you said, go on to win a Big Ten championship, and you play alongside now in the NBA Miles Bridges and Jaren Jackson. Tell us what practices were like every day with those guys and improving as a player with one of the best coach in college basketball, Tom Izzo.
Yeah. From going into high school to going to Robert Morris, the culture shock, and then going to Robert Morris to Michigan State was culture shock, completely over again. And it wasn't even from like an intensity standpoint because the practices, they weren't as hard as Robert Morris, to be honest with you. I was great. I was in great, best shape of my life ever when I was at Robert Morris because our practices were so intense. But the attention to detail, the competitiveness, like everyone, like there's no one at Robert Morris. Some people could do this. Just at Michigan State, every day you had to compete because every single other person there was at the peak of everything. There's no holes in people's games there. It's so like for me, it was kind of trying to like, okay, well, I do have some holes, and I like fixing these holes, and then adjusting to. I've played with people as big as me, but I don't know, something's just different about doing it every day to where you're like, some days it's like, wow, I suck. And then some days it's like, okay, I could be pretty good. I'm doing good. So the emotional thing of that, it was really different too. That was the biggest things. But the biggest thing about practices and Coach Izzo is just the attention to detail. And like I said, there's everyone out there can hoop.
Yeah, I mean, it's just look at the man's resume so far as a coach. I mean, just in the span of the past 4 years of what he's done, like you said, 3 Big Ten championships, a conference tournament championship, and stuff like that. And playing under those guys, I mean, those guys are in the pros and thriving. So, I mean, that's just probably fantastic. Just to go under their wings and just learn from them, and they probably learn from you as well. So
Yeah.
now we're gonna go into one of our favorite segments that we do with all of our guests here, Braden, and it's called Rapidfire 7. Just 7 random questions just to get to know you a little better. So, who is your idol growing up as a basketball player?
From a basketball standpoint, I've always been a big LeBron fan, but I grew up an Indiana fan, and I love Cody Zeller.
Cody Zeller. Okay, yeah, big man. Your favorite place to eat at on Robert Morris's campus?
Oh man, there wasn't very many options. So just the aromas, just the cafe, the sandwich cafe right there on campus.
Okay. Your favorite vacation spot?
That I've been to or want to go to.
That you've been to? Yeah, either or.
I want to go to the Bahamas. I never went to the Bahamas. I was supposed to go. We were supposed to go at Michigan State when I was there, but it got canceled.
Okay, yeah, the Bahamas tournament. Yep, down at Atlantis. Yep. So, your favorite college town to visit as an opponent? There's a lot of places Michigan State's gone in the past 3 seasons. So,
Yeah, probably honestly going back to Indiana just because I grew up an Indiana fan and it was all
yeah,
my family lives down there, so I had a lot of family at those games, and that was fun. It was a great college town.
yeah, especially Indiana's got the culture, and especially when it comes to basketball and the history that Indiana has. So, what your favorite music artist and favorite song by that artist?
Um, although I'm pretty all over the place with music. Right now, my favorite rapper is Baby Smooth, and he dropped an album last night. It's called "I'm Still Perfect." So that
Okay. Uh, and favorite place to eat at on Michigan State's campus? I know there's quite a few.
um I could be there is a lot there, but I'd say Sni-Fi, the one of
Okay.
the 20 cafeterias.
Yeah, I mean, I would know. I don't go to Michigan State, but my co-host Brian, he would definitely know probably where that is for sure. And finally,
Yeah, it's a hot spot.
yeah, So probably so the last one out of the rapid fire 7. Do you keep or still have anything like champagne bottles, piece of the nets, or anything from your Big Ten titles?
Yeah, I have pieces of net on all the hats that we cut. We didn't cut one from this year because I
Right.
think we got, yeah, but yeah, I got that and of course the rings.
Yeah.
So I still got those.
Those are probably unbelievable. So now after, unfortunate early exit in the NCAA tournament at Little Caesars Arena the season before, Miles Bridges and Jerry Jackson, they left to go pro in the NBA. And in the transition, the offseason would be transferred to now McQuaid, Warren, Tillman, and Cassius Winston. What was it like in the offseason as that whole process, as they left? Now now the culture's shifting at Michigan State.
Yeah, to be honest, there wasn't really a culture shock because we kind of all known Cassius was going to be really, really, really good, and we knew Nick was really, really, really good. We knew we still had people who needed this much closer, and they were going to be where Miles and they were. So like, we had them coming in, and then we had Josh. We thought we had Josh Langford returning, and he was a McDonald's All-American too. So there wasn't. That was a really fun summer too, just because we got even after. I was kind of in a shell my first year, and then as that summer transitioning, we really got close. I got close with those guys that were in my class, like Nick, Cash, and McQuaid, all them, and yeah, it was fun. Because my first year I was rooming. I actually roomed solo there. I moved into a room I was roommates with Kenny Goins, so we got really close, and that was a fun summer. But yeah, I don't think there really was much of a culture shock because we knew we were gonna be really good.
Yeah, so like you said, going into that season, you dropped the first game to Kansas. They went 5 in a row, winning the Vegas International Tournament. Lose to Louisville, win 13 in a row, lose 3, and then finish the regular season out strong, handing the Big Ten tournament that season as a number 1 seed. Did you guys think that you guys would easily win this tournament that year, or was that not the mindset Coach Izzo had for you guys?
No, he's always confident that we can, but he's also he never will let us look past anyone. So we knew he had us in there. Like each game was going to be a fight. Even the first game to start off that game, it was a grind. We were grinding out the first game, and then the second game, I believe we played Ohio State, and then that was a grinder. That's when Foster Lawyer kind of had his moment that year. And then yeah, we played Michigan, and then Kyle Arns went down. That's when he got hurt, and that was kind of like the emotional spark I think we needed that game. And then yeah, we finished that one out.
Yeah, I mean,
and then we didn't lose till the Final Four.
Yeah, I mean, you guys would beat Michigan 3 times that season. And the second meeting was for the regular season title. You beat them. Then the third matchup was for the tournament championship. Tell us what the locker room was like, prior to that tournament game against Michigan for the title.
Yeah, like I said, the emotions were high because of Kyle and everything. Everyone was worried that he would never maybe play again. We didn't know what was going to happen with him.
Yeah.
At the time, we thought he broke his leg.
It was a scary moment.
And so that was the first thing on everyone's mind. But yeah, and then the bus ride back, that's the only time we ever took a bus there was just I think the only time I ever took a bus when we were at Michigan State was just to Chicago for the Chicago and at Michigan. But rather than that, we flew absolutely everywhere. And so that was kind of different just because we were on a bus for like 3 or 4 hours, whatever it was. And so it was a fun bus ride back. I remember that.
I can imagine, especially bringing home that another conference championship trophy.
Yeah.
So now after you guys hoisted another conference championship, it was time to dance as a 2 seed. You guys beat Bradley, you beat Minnesota and LSU before heading into the Elite 8 against R.J. Barrett, Zion Williamson, and Duke. A game that everyone had Duke winning except people in Michigan. Tell us, what was Coach Izzo's game plan to help contain Zion and RJ in order to win that game and get to the Final Four?
Yeah, so we have the same principles for every game. We say if we play our game and we play our game the best, no one's going to beat us. So, and his things, we defend. We got to defend them. Everyone's got to help their teammate being helped because we play a pretty our defense is pretty help based, and we got to defend, rebound. If we out rebound them, the team that has the most rebounds usually wins. We wanted to rebound, box them out. Everyone had to get a body on them because they were huge, and then defend, rebound, and run. And that was the biggest thing. That was what we said. Coach was just big on Zion is huge, so we were like, we need to
Oh
get
yeah,
him up and down, get him going, everyone going, just get the ball out as quick as you can, run down. We don't like to run a lot of sets, so we said if we get them tired, really it was just to get them tired and just everyone do your job. That's his biggest thing
right.
too, is everyone do your job and we'll be good. And that's everyone did do their job that game.
So So, like you said, you were roommates with Kenny Goins, and me and my co-host. We were in spring break on the beach in Alabama watching that game at a bar, and there was full of Michigan State fans, and I was so shocked to see it. And the whole time, everyone was nervous, and especially when Kenny Goins' three went up late in that contest. Tell us, like, what was going through your mind as that shot went up, and was it a called play for Goins to shoot that three that ultimately won the game?
It wasn't for him. He was supposed to be the passer. It was actually an alley-oop play for Xavier Tillman. He was supposed to throw it up to him. But like, I think Zion was late on his cutout, and Kenny all summer had been stroking it down, so he's had the confidence. He's let it fly.
Yeah, I mean that was quite a win for Spartan Nation, and you guys made a statement and beat eventually a number one and number three pick in the NBA draft. Tell us what the locker room was like after that game and winning the regional championship and heading to the Final Four in Minnesota.
Yeah, that was a crazy time, honestly. From the time we beat Duke, we got back. It was like two. It was like we didn't get back in the locker room till 2, and the whole Breslin was packed. Every seat there was packed, and then the court was packed. We came out on a podium like a concert, and the whole arena was absolutely packed and wild.
Oh yeah.
And that was like at 2 in the morning, and then from then I think we left. I forget what day that was. I want to say it was a Sunday, or I don't know, but we weren't in East Lansing very long. We just kind of practiced, tried to get our legs back, and then we headed out to Minneapolis, and then we got to Minneapolis like probably like 5 or 4 days before the game, and we did a lot when we were there. There was a lot of events for all the team. We got to meet the other players, hang out with them, meet a lot of you meet a lot of famous people when you're there too, so that was kind of cool. Yeah, the whole experience was just a once in a lifetime thing, something I'll never forget.
Yeah, it was quite a scene, especially for that Final Four. I mean, I remember Kirk Cousins was in attendance for Michigan State, and Patrick Mahomes was there for Texas Tech, and just a lot of like you said, a lot of famous people there. And now, unfortunately, you guys will go down to Texas Tech, but you guys made Michigan State proud. Another Final Four run. Tell us, what did you learn as a person that season, and what was your favorite moment on the court or off the court from that particular Final Four season?
What I learned is, I don't know. It was almost like a little bit going back to like the attention to detail thing. It was just all year it was just like the biggest relief when we beat Duke, because like all year we literally talk about every day. We have meetings every day. We just putting in the extra time really goes a long way, because that's what Coach Izzo's big about, is sacrifice. And that whole year we all sacrificed a lot. I couldn't even tell you how many times we'd get back from a game and we'd go in for film at 6 a.m. because people had 8 a.m. classes. We'd watch film from 6 to 8, go to class, go to tutors, and then practice for 3-4 hours, and then watch another 2 hours of film. And when it got to about like January, like late January, going to February, March, that was a every week, every day thing. It was emotionally and physically, it was the most draining kind of spans of my life for these last like 2 years when I was playing, just because it was like a full time plus overtime job. Uh, but it was all worth it in the end, and that's what I just remembered, how great it felt because we knew we deserved it. Uh, so that was really cool. It did teach me a lot about just sticking to things and having the vision. That's what Coach Izzo was always big about too. He had so many things that he was that he stuck by, that were his kind of like mottos that he tried to drill in us, and they definitely all stuck to me, and and it made it everything worth it. That was probably it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's just quite. He's all about attention to detail, and it shows. I mean, it shows. Through his players, not just on the court, but in the classroom as well. I mean, he preaches academics as well as athletics as well. So now going into your third season at Michigan State, you would win your third straight Big Ten regular season championship, but you guys couldn't play both the conference and national tournament due to the pandemic and everything that's going on. Tell us, how did you guys get the news about that season? Because you guys are hot. You won the Big Ten championship, and you guys won it again. And tell us how you got that news and that your season was done. I guess so quick.
Yeah, it was crazy. We were practicing. We were gonna I think we played we had the Sunday game for the Big Ten, or Saturday. We had the bye, so we were practicing early in the morning. I think it was Saturday. We had like an 8 or 9 o'clock practice, and then we were gonna bust down to Indy and go to the tournament, because at that point it was still on. But the night before, they had just changed it to where they said, we're gonna play with no fans, blah blah blah. And that was kind of shocking. But everyone, at the time, if you remember back to this COVID stuff, like when it first started, I was like, there's no way they're going to cancel this tournament. There's no way any of this is going to blah. And then, so they told us on Friday that there's no fans, and everyone's like, okay, like we get it, like blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then, so that night, we go to sleep, wake up to practice, and we're in practice, and practice is about over. And I remember there's a little, like, in one of the side training rooms in our practice gym, there's a little TV, and some of our managers or some assistant was in there just watching it, and Nebraska and Michigan or someone was warming up. They were about to go on the court and play. They were warming up, and then they just canceled the tournament. And so they brought us in the huddle, and they said they just canceled the tournament. Well, we don't know what's going to happen, but like, take these next couple of days off. Like, we got to get ready for the tournament now. Blah blah. And then that was early in the morning, like I said, and I think it was like 4 o'clock. We got a group text. They said, we're gonna have a meeting in the Breslin in 30 minutes. Blah blah. And then everyone was thinking like, oh man, like, is this gonna happen? And then like we were walking over to the Breslin, because Coach Izzo knew before they announced it, because he was part of the board or whatever, so he knew they were gonna cancel the tournament, and he was trying to get us in there before to tell us and talk to it before we found out through something else. But it happened so quick. We were walking over, and everyone saw it, and I remember just walking in. Some people were crying. Everyone was shocked. It was crazy, just because, like I said, going back to the Final Four year, there's so much attention to detail. We were right there. It was turning, like it felt like deja vu, because it was like, this is just like last year. It's like we're getting in a groove. We just won again. We're hot. The freshmen are playing good. We're ready to get rolling, and then everything just kind of
to a screeching halt, right? It was just unbelievable on how every sport from either college to pro, basketball, hockey, all that stuff just came to a quick screeching halt, and now it's slowly starting to come back. And now hopefully there will be a season this year, since now you are transferred from my co-host Brian's school to my school in Central Michigan. What went into the decision of coming to Mount Pleasant?
So at Michigan State for the last 2 years, our grad assistant was Chris Fowler, Michigan
Yep.
or Central Michigan point guard,
Yeah.
and
Benny
so he was
Fowler.
our GA for 2 years, and probably me and Chris got closer than a lot of me and my teammates got over the last 2 years. So he was a really close friend to me now, and uh, when sometimes we were even roommates on the road on road trips, and that's how we kind of got really close. But I always joked with him. Because at the time I kind of knew before the season was over that I was gonna test the waters, and I was gonna talk to Coach Izzo about transferring and what he thought about it, and blah blah blah. So I already knew it, and I would always joke with Chris, and I'd be like, hey, put it. And he always said, if that happens, like I'd be glad to put in a word for you, blah blah. And so it does happen, but the funny thing is that when all this was happening, Chris, the GA, he's got a job at Northern Arizona.
Yep.
So I initially that's where I thought I was gonna go, because out of all the schools that kept calling me, like there was some like bigger schools that had reached out that I wasn't expecting, like some ACC schools and stuff that were calling me when I was transferring, and they were kind of like flirting with me, seeing what I thought about the idea coming, blah blah blah. But I knew this was my last year of basketball. Like I experienced the highest level of basketball the last 3 years. I wanted to go somewhere where I'm going to play, and I'm going to just basically get a resume for myself to go be a pro the following years. And I knew Chris was going to allow me to do that, so I was ready to go there. And then like, well, they kind of like a week or two into uh not a week or two, but maybe 5 days. It felt like a week at the time when I entered the portal. But Central called me, and I and that was really appealing to me because I wanted to stay in the state. I've been to Central a couple times. I have friends that go there. I enjoyed it when I've been there. It was a fun school from like the atmosphere wise, and I got recruited by Central pretty heavy in high school, and so I'd already been on visits. I knew it. And the big thing for the quarantine going to the portal, I wasn't able to visit any of these schools that were talking
Right.
to me. And yeah, so they called me and they offered me, and I talked to Chris, and obviously they were talking to Chris too, because Chris is the guy at Michigan State. Like when you're a GA, when we want to work out, we got to call Chris because our coaches aren't allowed to work with us whenever we want. So Chris is the guy who basically developed me as a basketball player the last 2 years. Like all my individual workouts was with Chris, so he knows my game better than anyone. So they were calling him a lot, and it was just they have a lot of opportunity this year, and it was close. I already knew what I was getting into, and then Chris, who was almost like my agent during, because like I said, he's my dear friend now, and we he just signed off on it, and I knew I wanted to stay close, and honestly, yeah, it was just I was excited. I'm still really excited. I really want to get on campus.
Yeah, I'll be the first say welcome to your new home in Mount Pleasant, and it's for a Central team last year that went 14-18, and played mediocre basketball for some point in the season, and now after this season, Central lost a lot of its height, a lot of its big men. So you coming in, it definitely helps the team out a lot. So what are you looking forward to most in playing for Central Michigan, or just coming to Central Michigan as a student? Like, what are you looking forward to the most?
I'm looking forward to like kind of a role change. I'm going from more as like a kind of like on the court as a stand back, kind of just play my teammate role, to now I gotta be the guy on the court again, and uh, I'm a fifth year guy who they're expecting to come in and be a leader. Like I said, I think Central we lost like 8 or 7 players from last year, so we got a lot of
Yeah.
new people coming in. So they're expecting me to like be a leader. They kind of know what I've been through, how I've been training for the last 3 years. So I'm just kind of looking forward to like being that kind of like old head on the team, I guess, the leader, the guy everyone can go to. Because because that'll be nice because I think I'm ready for it, and I'm just ready to kind of just get on the court more and just really show people what, that I can still compete and hopefully build a nice resume for myself and the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, hoping your last season at Mount Pleasant goes well, do you plan on playing professional basketball anywhere like the NBA, Canada, or somewhere overseas after your 5th year is done?
Yeah, definitely. That's my goal.
Yeah, I mean that's hopefully the goal. That's all I got for you, for you, Braden. And thank you for coming on. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the court up at Central this year. Praying to God there's a season, because we definitely need sports back, and it'll be fun to watch you play on a brand new refurbished court that Central just redid. It looks really nice. So
Right.
you repping the maroon and gold, and it's gonna look nice. I can't wait to see you play in person, and thanks for joining us today.
Appreciate it.
No problem, Braden. Thank you. Man, that was a fantastic interview once again. Braden Burke, I mean, 3 Big Ten championships. You can't go wrong with that, right? I mean, you can't go wrong, especially playing with Tom Izzo and stuff like that. All those years, Miles Bridges, Jaron Jackson, Cassius Winston, Matt McQuaid, all those guys. And now he's repping the maroon and gold for Central Michigan. It'll be a great thing to watch. Great thing, or a player to look forward to watch and for this upcoming college basketball season. So that'll do it for this episode of the Hot Seat Sports Talk. Tune in next Thursday as we have our first NHL player coming on the show, as Trevor Hamilton of the Detroit Red Wings will be joining us for our 6th installment for this season. We're almost done for this season as this wraps up. So thank you for tuning in. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and share this show and our channel as well. And we will be back next week. And as always, keep it fresh.